Welcome to this terrific workshop. Would you like to have a speech ready to go in your back pocket, just ready to go at any time? Well, whether you're a brand new Toastmaster or one that's just very busy, this hands-on workshop will give you a simple, fast method of building your next speech. Let's meet our facilitators and give them a big wave of applause as I introduce each one. First of all, Kate Posner, Sandy Robb, Ted Van Horn. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow Toastmasters, I know this team. I know them quite well, but they have a combined 35 years of Toastmaster experience. Before we get started, a couple of housekeeping issues. The workshop is being recorded, so if you don't want to be recorded, just turn your camera off. Please keep yourself muted at all times unless you're speaking. And we would very much like to acknowledge the contribution of Blossoming Voices Toastmasters for providing this Zoom access for today's workshop. So are you ready to kick your Toastmaster year and your speeches in a high gear? Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Kate Posner.
Have you ever sat down with a blank sheet of paper and wondered to yourself, what am I going to speak about? Or have you ever seen a blank speaking slot on your agenda and wished you had time to prepare a speech? Fellow Toastmasters, today we're going to help you fill in the blanks. This is a workshop. Emphasis on work. By the end, you'll have completed the outline for your next speech. We've prepared a worksheet to help you do that. I put it in the chat and you've been emailed it earlier. Here's what it looks like. Now you may be thinking to yourself, I can't get my whole speech on one page. Have you ever typed out your speech and then by the end realized it was long enough to be a book? Then you had to spend hours and hours cutting it down. Using this worksheet will help you save that time because it allows you to put effort into the right places. You won't have your award-winning speech perfected at the end of half an hour, but getting started is half the battle. You can use the time you saved on preparation to enhance your speech and work on delivery. The purpose of this process is to get your outline complete. Once you've got some words on that blank page, it's not so intimidating. Our worksheet is organized in our suggested order of operations. We will guide you through topic selection, defining your speech purpose, building the body, and then we'll go back to the opening, and finally, a conclusion and a title. Our facilitators will give you questions, ideas, and tips for each section, and then you'll have a few minutes to brainstorm your own ideas on your speech building worksheet or a blank sheet of paper. Once you learn this process, you can use it again and again, whether it's a pathway speech, a toast, a eulogy, or a business presentation. Here's how to get the most out of this workshop. You won't have a long time to work, so make short, point-form notes, not full sentences. Keep it simple. If you're stuck for an idea, just go with the first one that pops into your mind, like in table topics. And if you really get stuck, just keep moving on. The whole point of this exercise is to not overthink things. Like in Finding Nemo, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. If you have questions, we will probably cover them during the Q&A. And we're going to send you all of these slides afterwards, so you don't have to write every single thing down. If you happen to see our timer changing colors, don't worry, that's just to keep us presenters on track. So remember, keep it simple, done is better than perfect, and just keep swimming. Are you with me so far? Well, there's one more thing. One of you will deliver your speech at the end of this session. We've already selected a volunteer. Her name is Vivian Intieri. She'll be preparing her speech outline right along with you, and at the end, she'll deliver her speech. Are you ready to go, Vivian?
I am, yes.
Great. To help us get started on section 1, here's Sandy Robb.
How do you ever come up with something to talk about? I'm here to help you decide on your topic. The key is to choose something you're familiar with, something you can speak about without research, something about you and your experiences. Once you're comfortable with the process for developing a speech, you can start to research more complex topics. For now, though, think of your topics in broad categories: family, friends, work, pastimes, education, travel, and sports. Use section 1 of your worksheet to jot down the first 3 main categories that come to mind. As a hint, what do you post about most often on social media? For example, I might choose travel, pastimes, and work. If you haven't done it while I was speaking, take a minute now to record the 3 main topics you're really familiar with in section 1 of your worksheet. For my example of travel, pastimes, and work, I probably choose pastimes because I love to read. Recently, I've started reading children's classics to my young niece. Looking at children's classics from an adult perspective could make for an interesting speech. Children's classics, that'll be my topic. Now, of the 3 topics you've chosen, quickly select the one that most resonates with you. Whatever topic you choose, you're ready to build your speech around it. The next 2 sections on our worksheet are about purpose. It's important to define your purpose, why you're giving the speech. It helps you as a speaker to keep your thoughts focused and your material relatable to your topic and to your audience. So why are you giving the speech? There are 4 main reasons. Let's look at those reasons using my example of reading children's books. One is to inform. I could share with you how lessons learned from children's stories apply to us as adults too. A second is to entertain. Maybe I'll share some fun activities that didn't work out as well for me as they did for the kids in the stories. A third is to inspire. I want to inspire you to look at children's stories from a new perspective. And a fourth is to persuade. The ideas you learn from me may persuade you to sit back and rediscover a children's classic. A speech can include more than one purpose: to inform in an entertaining manner, or to use an entertaining speech to inspire your audience. Quickly, in section 2, select your general purpose by checking it off on your worksheet. Now let's move on to the 3rd worksheet section, your specific purpose. This section may be a little challenging as it further defines what you're focusing your speech on. It talks specifically to, why are you telling this story? What do you want your audience to take away from it? Do you want them to learn, to laugh, to feel something, or to do something? For example, in my speech about reading children's classics, I've learned that even the simplest children's stories teach us life's lessons. And I want my audience to learn the value of these lessons and how they apply to us even as adults. Or perhaps a children's book may trigger a strong memory of a childhood experience, and I want my audience to learn from my experience. If you can't come up with something now, don't worry. It will become clearer to you later. You may find that it will come to you as you pull the body of your speech together. Take a minute now and try to come up with a specific purpose, the direction you want to take your story. Enter that in point form in section 3. I'm now going to ask our volunteer Vivian to unmute and take a few seconds to share her topic and her purpose. Vivian.
Thanks, Sandy. So my topic is training for a half marathon. The general purpose of my topic is to inform and persuade. And the specific purpose, by the end of my speech, the audience will know that while running a half marathon isn't easy, and while training for one especially isn't easy, there are a few lessons to learn from the journey that definitely apply to other areas of life.
Thank you, Vivian. Now that you know what you're going to speak about, your topic, and why you want to share it, your purpose, let's move on to the 4th and 5th sections of the worksheet, where Todd will walk you through creating your main story, the body of your speech. Over to you, Todd.
Thank you very much, Sandy. The speech body. So now that you have your speech topic, what is it that you want to say about it? Here in point form, what you're going to do is brainstorm 3 to 5 main ideas that support the purpose of your speech. And there are many ways that you can approach the content. You may try one of these. Maybe it's the 3 to 5 things related to the topic that had an impact. So if your topic is family, what stands out about your family? 5 things that you learned from your experience with the topic. Personally, I could discuss 5 things learned from reading children's books. Or also as a timeline, such as the past, the present, and the future. So in our example speech, I could talk about how I felt reading Red Riding Hood as a child, then as a teenager, and then again as an adult. You could also do a comparison, a time of tension versus a time when things ran smoothly. Or how about a time you failed and then a time you succeeded? What feelings, thoughts, and emotions or memories do you have about the subject? So in our example, how about things I find funny about fairy tales? Why is it always the princess that's the one in distress? So if the purpose of your speech is clear, it becomes easier to brainstorm these main ideas. Again, for an example, if your purpose is to entertain with stories about your family, you could choose funny moments from a family celebration. In our sample speech about reading as a pastime, the 5 ideas that I came up with are the 5 children's stories I reread on my vacation. They are Charlotte's Web, Noah's Ark, Green Eggs and Ham, The 3 Little Pigs, and Fungus the Boogeyman. You'll develop the details in the next section. What I would like you to do now in section 4 of your worksheets, you are going to write in point form your 3 to 5 main ideas. And in here, spelling does not count. The thought here is to get the thoughts in your head and get them onto paper. Now, if you manage to come up with 5 ideas, you're now going to cut that down to 3. Why 3? In a 5 to 7 minute speech, you are only going to have time to talk to 3 points. The 3 thoughts will be easier for your audience to digest, to remember, and to take away. So pick the 3 that you're most familiar with or that mean the most to you, or the 3 that best support your purpose. If you only have 3, you're done. If not, you're going to take a few seconds to choose your best. And as you're doing that, Vivian, can you please share the 3 points that you chose?
Sure. So the 3 that I've chosen are 1, perseverance trumps passion. 2, community is essential. And 3, nutrition is more important than you may think.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. We are now going to go into the supporting content. So here you're going to support on each of your main points. And how would you do that? You can use quotations, facts, personal examples, and opinions, or whatever will explain your point in more detail. Use our sample speech about rereading children's books. The 3 that I chose are Charlotte's Web, Green Eggs and Ham, and the 3 Little Pigs. Charlotte's Web to me is all about friendship. It is the value of those lifelong friends that you have that are there for you, that support you, that challenge you. They're your reflection in your heart. So what personal and meaningful experience with one of your friends would you like to share? And how did it impact you? And what is your opinion of this? Or for Green Eggs and Ham, to me, it's about trying new things. So I have an anecdote about my sister-in-law who will only eat white eggs. We were at a farmer's market and she saw different colored eggs and it was just like, ew. And I thought it was kind of odd because if I were to cook the eggs and she didn't see the shells, she'd eat them. So you can leave your audience with a question. Have you had a Green Eggs and Ham moment? Or the 3 Little Pig about how hard work pays off. My example for me is Toastmasters. I joined to develop my speaking skills, and as I worked through the program, building skills, volunteering, one day I discovered I was almost a DTM. My work had paid off. So you can leave your audience with something to ponder. How has hard work paid off for you? Or your speech could also spark an idea in others. So you want to tie the content into your speech purpose. And why are you sharing this speech? So in section 5, take a few minutes to jot down your ideas to support each of your 3 points. You want to keep it point form. These are going to be cues that trigger your talking point. For example, for me, I would put sister-in-law, eggs. And we are now going to go back to the beginning, and Kate is going to take us through section 6. Kate.
Remember when I kicked off the session? I asked you a question. Have you ever? I did that to invite you in to the presentation. Think of your speech opening as an invitation to your speech. You need the audience to switch their attention from the last speaker or from their phone to you. If I started with, "My name is Kate Posner and today I'm going to talk about speeches," I may not have won your attention. There are a few tried and true openings, and here's how they might work in our sample speech. First of all, ask a question. Have you ever sat down with a good book to relax and found yourself more tense than when you started? Give them a startling statement to wake them up. Huff, puff, bang! My house was flattened. 3 Little Pigs, right? Or you can use a short quote that ties into your speech. Dr. Seuss once said, "Kid, you'll move mountains." Finally, put them in the scene. As Patricia Fripp says, transport your audience. I sat down to breakfast and was assaulted by an acrid smell. The sauce, the ham, the eggs were all bright green. Once you've got their attention, you can give your audience a preview of what they're going to take away from the presentation. Remember your purpose? Today, I'm going to tell you about 3 children's books I recently read that can teach us something about adulthood. Take a minute to brainstorm your opening in section 6, 3 to 4 sentences that invite the audience to pay attention. Now that our opening is complete, it's time for the conclusion. What do you want the audience to remember about your speech? What do you want them to do, say, or think differently when they leave? The conclusion should contain the key takeaway. Why? Your audience is most likely to remember the last thing that they hear. Now is not the time to introduce any new points. You just don't have time to cover them. Summarize your 3 main points and give your audience a call to action. In other words, how you want them to respond. Does this reflect your purpose? From our sample speech, I could conclude with, "You may laugh about an adult kicking back with some light Dr. Seuss, but after one too many true crime novels, I was pleasantly surprised to read stories of friendship, trying new things, and hard work." That's my summary. If you'd like to take a break from these unprecedented times and find some new inspiration, pick up a children's classic. That's my call to action. Take a minute now and brainstorm your conclusion in section 7, 3 to 4 sentences that sum up what the audience should take away. Now we have our conclusion. It's time for the title. Your title. It's your chance to build interest in your topic before you even start speaking. Think of your club agenda. Have you ever seen a club agenda with a really interesting title and you said, I can't miss this meeting? Great titles are catchy, short, and easy to say. You don't want your introducer to mix it up. For our example speech about children's books, I brainstormed Out of the Mouths of Babes, Babes in the Woods, Back to Basics, Advice from an Unlikely Source. And I finally settled on Silly but Sage. Maybe these aren't perfect, but they're a start. Please take a minute to brainstorm your title in section 8. That's it, everybody. You've now completed your outline. Give yourself a little pat on the back. You picked a topic that relates to you. You chose a general purpose, and then you narrowed it down to the outcome you want your speech to achieve. You brainstormed up to 5 points to get your message across, and you cut that down to 3. You prepared an interesting opening and a conclusion with a call to action, and you came up with a short, intriguing title. If you cut out all of our tongue wagging, it took you just 30 minutes to prepare. The more often you use this process, the easier it will become. Some say you can prepare an outline in just 5 minutes. If you're a new speaker, you might like to use your outline as it is and write a script. If you're more experienced, you could use the outline to give an impromptu speech. Whichever you choose, keep a blank copy of this template handy. You never know when you'll need to prepare a speech in a jiffy. Now we get to put the process to the test. Over to you, Todd.
Thank you very much, Kate. Our volunteer Vivian and our speech mentor Sandy are now going to go to a breakout room. And as they are doing that, I would like to ask you about your experience thus far using the speech building template. The Zoom master, can you please launch the first question?
Should I move Sandy and Vivian first to the room?
Oh, please.
Okay.
Perfect. You should all now see a series of questions. And the first one being, how easy was it for you to decide what to talk about? So on a scale of 1 to 5, 1 being very difficult and 5 being very easy, how easy was it for you to decide what you wanted to talk about? Okay, can I get you to share the, oh, look at that. Very good.
So
I'm
it looks
finding
like,
this,
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Kate.
I was going to say everyone's got a few ideas that are always in their head.
Yeah, the
Maybe that's
idea,
why.
coming up with the ideas is not the hard part. It's getting it onto paper. What am I going to say about it where you're trying to formulate? If we can please go to the second question.
Okay.
Thank you. So how easy was it to come up with your speech's purpose? And share the results. Oh, okay. At the very beginning, when I was doing this one, this is where I always found this one personally a little bit difficult, and over time it got easier. So I like seeing that it is moderately difficult. So in between a little difficult and easy.
Would anyone like to share the purpose of their speech? I'd like to hear one or two. Who came up with their purpose today?
I would.
Okay.
It's Carol. It's Carol.
Okay.
I am signed in as Phil, but my name is Carol Hennessy.
Okay.
Thank you, Kate. My purpose was to let children see values in life through the story of the three little pigs.
Oh.
Oh.
So you chose the same topic. I like that.
Yeah, I had already, and I will be giving a speech to a group of children via Zoom on the three little pigs.
Wow, that is an amazing coincidence. Thank you, Carol.
That's incredible. Thank you.
Go to the next question, Todd?
Please, question number 3.
Okay.
How easy was it to develop the supporting points in the body of your speech? And if you can share the results. So again, we're going from almost half being a little difficult to the moderately easy and very easy. And I always find within here, again, once you have what your purpose is and you know what you're going to speak about, it's not the points so much, it's what do I not speak of? Because I tend to have more points than not. So it's a matter of, okay, what are the ones that I want to focus on? And I can maybe save the others for another speech.
Did everyone get 3 points or did you get 5 when we were brainstorming? You can put it in the chat. Let's see what people came up with. We didn't give you very long to think about it. 3, 4.
3, 4. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Good job, Rita. You got 5.
Yeah.
That's right. If you choose 5, though, you're a bit disadvantaged because you have to cut them down to 3 in that short period, too. Great, everyone. Thanks.
Very nice. And the next question, please.
Okay.
Thank you. How easy was it for you to develop an opening? Okay, wonderful. I was expecting this actually. I always find the opening and also the conclusion, I know when I'm doing my speeches, always the hardest, because within the opening, you want to grab someone's attention, grab your audience's attention, and then move into it. So it tends to be the most challenging, developing that piece.
Did anyone use any of Patricia Fripp's ideas from Friday night for developing an opening?
Yes, it's Carol again. I did. I have not been doing well over my 25 years of having a really good opening, and I learned something from her. So for my three little pigs, I'm going to open with, have you ever visited a pig pen?
Do you think all the kids will put up their hands?
I don't know.
That's good.
Hopefully there are children who have been able to visit a farm at some point.
Thanks, Carol. Does anyone else have an interesting opening or struggled with their opening and we could help?
I've got
Al?
what?
When hiring, don't hire the most highly qualified or the most experienced.
Is that the purpose of your speech?
Yes.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I like it. Thanks,
Yes,
Al.
totally.
Cynthia, did you have one to share?
Yes, what mine is going to be is start with the question, who wants to take a vacation right now? And I expect everybody to put their hands up.
I do.
That is a great way to get everyone invested in your speech. I want to hear more.
Most definitely. We
Great
can
job.
try one more. Karen?
Yes, I have, for an opening, I've chosen, have you ever given serious thought to all that your brain does for you? What if something went wrong?
Wow.
Oh,
Wow.
I think I'm coming to all of your clubs to hear these interesting speeches. Thank you.
Yes. And can we go to the next question, please? Thank you. How easy was it for you to develop a closing? Thank you. So again, between the moderate to the end, moderately difficult, a little difficult, and again, moderately easy. And again, I'm not surprised by these. It does take practice, and I'm finding even myself using this template now, it's starting to help me shape and be able to put things, because again, it's point form and then I'm building on it. So I always find that it's a little bit of a challenge, but as you move on, it gets easier. Would anybody else like to share what they put? Yep, go ahead, Al.
I have performed for 12 presidents. I have entertained only 2 of them. Bob Hope.
Wow. Any other takers?
For those that found it difficult, would you like to give us what you've got and maybe we can get some brainstorming happening from the other Toastmasters here? We still have a few minutes before Sandy comes back. Lori, you've got your hand raised.
Yeah, I'm struggling with the speech because it's the end result, I guess, is a photo. And I'm not sure whether or not I should show the photo at the beginning or at the end. And it's supposed to be a humorous anecdote. So that's why I'm debating, well, should I start with the visual or end with the visual?
What's the message that you want people to take away? And I know it's a humorous one, but why don't you share that message?
The message would be take the time to capture those memories, because you never know when you're going to look back and want to see them again.
Oh, I like that message. That's a really good takeaway. My personal opinion is that I would not show the photo last. I would show it and then say your message
Okay,
so that your words are the last thing that people remember.
got it. Thank you.
Should we
Thank
go
you
to the
for
next
sharing.
polling, Todd?
Thank you. Yes.
Okay.
How likely are you to use this process in your club? Not only in your club, but you could also use it for your, for work presentations or even just personal. Wow.
Fantastic.
Wow, wow, wow. That is impressive. Thank you very much. That means a lot to us.
Wow, 95%, very likely.
So can we get a few comments just on what that is, what you thought about going through this?
Karen's got her hand up.
Karen.
Thank you. The one thing that I think you missed is you didn't ask a question about how easy was it to pick a title for your speech. And I just wanted to share a little bit about mine. I wanted to talk about my brother-in-law's journey recovering from encephalitis. So it's a serious subject. And I wanted the title to be Look on the Bright Side. But saying all that, this has been really, really informative. I've used this kind of process before, but I've never known it in this detail. This has been fabulous.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I would like to take more questions, but I see that Sandy is back and I believe Vivian is back as well. So I am now going to turn it back over to Kate.
Fellow Toastmasters, please help me welcome Vivian and Thierry. Just keep going. Just keep going, Vivian and Thierry.
Here I am at the starting line, ready to run my first half marathon. That's 13.1 miles or 21.1 kilometers. I've been training for this race for almost 5 months. I've done a lot of learning and a lot of unlearning over these months of training. Here are 3 of the key lessons that I learned. First, perseverance trumps passion. I ran on days where I didn't feel like running, whether it was the weather, whether it was just how I was feeling, I didn't get enough sleep. I did it anyway. And I often felt much better about it after the run was over. I kept going on days where I wasn't comfortable with the training that was scheduled, whether it was a speed run, a fartlek, a tempo run. If I didn't feel comfortable with it, I still kept going. I ran through the winter months. Yes, I ran in the snow. I learned to adapt my stride and to shuffle along on snowy paths and icy paths. I've run in the rain. I've run in all sorts of weather. And I've had to learn how to dress differently for those runs. I've learned to layer appropriately for warmer weather and for the winter months. Ultimately, I did it because I had to do it. It's not because of how I felt. I just kept going. I would tell myself on these runs, just keep going. Everybody gets better if they keep at it. And it's true. My pace at the start of my training is much different than my pace now. I'm much faster now. And part of that is because I persevered rather than ran just when I felt like it. Secondly, nutrition is more important than you may think. I knew that with training for a half marathon, how I fueled my body before a run mattered. But what I began to learn as I trained was that everything that I ate well in advance of a run, even the things that I consumed while on my runs, and everything that I ate after a run was just as important and it mattered just as much. I've learned to explore different food groups and different types of cuisine that the body does a better job of breaking down so that it can provide me with the energy that I need while on these runs. And what I've noticed is that as my nutrition improved, it had a positive impact on my runs. I have much more energy. I feel better. Even in terms of digestion, it just feels better compared to some of the things that I was eating before these runs. And finally, community is essential. I started my running journey during the pandemic. So really, I've been running solo from the beginning. However, I've learned that social media can be a powerful tool. Thanks to platforms like Facebook and Instagram, I've actually found a diverse and supportive community of runners. I've met people from all parts of the world and all walks of life, and even right here in the city of Toronto. And they have various running experiences, from running a local 5K to running international competitive marathons. And I've learned so much from them, and we motivate each other as we work towards our own personal running goals. Even on my actual runs, I will encounter other runners and we'll smile and wave at each other. And that's provided some comfort, even though we're all socially distancing ourselves. It's nice to see people in person who are out there, being just as happy and working just as hard as I am to achieve our personal goals. You need 3 things to win at running. You need discipline, you need hard work, and probably before anything, you need commitment. No one will make it without those 3 things. Training for a half marathon has taught me that. What are you willing to be disciplined about? And what are you willing to work hard for? When you have committed to that thing, just keep going.
Wow. Thank you, Vivian. Give it up for Vivian. Did you really prepare this today?
I did.
Vivian, I have one important question for you. How long have
Sure.
you been a Toastmaster?
Oh gosh, I joined late last year.
So about a little more than 6 months?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Vivian, for your speech. Very brave, and I'm really glad to see this speech outline is working for you.
Yes, thank you so much for organizing.
So that is the value of this tool. It saves you time. It saves you effort. It helps you channel your thoughts. I encourage you, fellow Toastmasters, to use this process for yourself, with your club, with your mentees. Here's my call to action. I challenge you to sign up for your next 2 speeches and use this template to prepare them. Thank you all so much for your participation. Keep your ideas flowing. Return control to Gord.
Thank you, Kate, Sandy, and Todd. That was an amazing workshop, as you could tell from the response that you got. Also, our thanks to our Zoom master, Monty, and the timer, Dion, and our sponsor, Blossoming Voices Toastmasters, for donating the Zoom meeting. Feedback is important, so please, if you can take a moment to fill out the feedback survey, it would be appreciated. This workshop was just outstanding. You were privileged here today to hear 3 amazing presenters present not just a workshop for this district conference, but a well-prepared, beautifully delivered, and as reflected in the survey results, about the 95%. It was also extremely well organized. Kate, Todd, and Sandy have really taken this workshop on the road to refine it, to get it to this point. And you have just been, we all have been, the recipients of this amazing workshop. Kate has promised to, and her team will send you the slides. And if you have any questions, just contact Kate. Ladies and gentlemen, I, along with you, was privileged to be part of this workshop. Give it up for Kate, Sandy, and Dot.